Into this, would you guys want CM Punk to join the Bullet Club?
Hell yeah. I'm only texting him all the time, bothering him too.
Man, anything that is good for business, I'm totally for.
That's it.
And man, would that be crazy.
He's like one of the last guys that I think could come back and make a true impact in wrestling. Like, there's not a lot of draws left in wrestling, and I feel like Punk, God, it'd be
huge.
Just to work with him, even if he wasn't in Bullet Club, just to do a program with him.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. You know, it's funny. I finally just woke up. I went directly to sleep. I uploaded the show last night. I smoked a little bit, and I went directly to sleep, man. No reason looking at the comments past midnight and all that other kind of shit, because I already know what it's going to be. Probably like 95% of y'all is going to agree. Then it's going to be the 5% who doesn't agree. It is what it is, right? I've seen some comments, but nothing that was too out of this world crazy. But then I went on X. But then I went on the YouTube video. And there's some things that I want to discuss. First and foremost, the comments. The comments are crazy. And you may be thinking to yourself, what did they say that was so crazy? No, I'm not talking about the actual people who actually are okay with the spot. I mean, they call them sickos for a reason, right? That's not the part that actually got me. It's the verbiage. It's the rhetoric. The words that they were saying that really, really caught my attention. And it really just illustrates how pointless this spot was when it's all said and done. You know the key words that I kept seeing? I kept seeing people saying things such as, this was the best spot I've ever seen in a while. This was the best spot I've seen in a while. In a while. Holy hell. This is the best spot of the decade. The best spot of the decade. Man, I haven't seen AEW do this kind of crazy stuff in a minute. In a minute. Notice the verbiage. No one is saying this is the greatest spot of all time. No one is saying this is top 10, top 5. People are saying, oh, well, if you ever hear someone say professional wrestling is fake, show them this spot. That's the point, bruh. The point of wrestling is to create the illusion that someone is getting hurt without getting hurt. If you have to legitimately land your back on a spiked fucking 2x4, then who's the real mark? Honestly, who's the real mark here? I'm supposed to believe in the illusion, whereas you're doing the thing. And it's not as if like you're potatoing somebody. We know the whole, wrestling isn't ballet, cliche. But where do we draw the line from potatoing somebody to now pushing the line so far back that people have to like wrestling if you do the most insane detriment to your health that has ever been done in professional wrestling, which makes no sense again. Because when you think about because let's just hypothetically say this was done at WrestleMania, right? A spot like this. It'd still be fucking stupid. It'd still be fucking dumb. It'd still be fucking pointless because, you're on WrestleMania. But at the same time, argument can be made. Okay, you're trying to create a WrestleMania moment, right? The name WrestleMania moment implies that you're trying to create something of a lasting legacy within the annals of professional wrestling because it's WrestleMania. At the very least, I can sit back and I can say, okay, you did something insane on literally the biggest stage in the history of professional wrestling. Okay, it's still dumb, still reckless, but I understand the logic behind it. Someone please explain to me the logic of doing a spot like this in the middle of a card for the World Heavyweight Championship on an episode of Dynamite in a blizzard storm, meaning not even too many people showed up to the auditorium, not even a stadium, an auditorium for that spot. And we have two legacy acts wrestling at the moment doing this, meaning they didn't have to. They could have got over on whatever dialogue if they had a good story building up to this point. Something else I want to illustrate for you real quick too. I just want to point out something real fast. It's now been about 12 hours, right, give or take, since the show happened, right? I want to show you something real quick. John Moxley, Adam Copeland. Gonna type this into YouTube real quick just to kind of illustrate a point real quick. Right now the views are sitting at 373,000 views in 12 hours. I just want to illustrate a point for you real quick. All right, let's go to WWE Raw. Look at that. I don't have to type in anything. It automatically pops up John Cena. And I'm going to keep using this as a point, as a point of reflection, if you will, right? The whole segment with CM Punk about 2 weeks ago has 2.2 million views. John Cena's heel turn has about nearly 4 million views. Cody Rhodes and John Cena's, just Cody Rhodes simply calling John Cena a bitch, has 436,000 views. All that. It's wild to me to think that simple promos, stabbing barbs, metaphorically speaking, draw more money than physical stabbing of bars. Not metaphorically, I mean that literally. It goes to show you the lengths that they have to go through in order to get around the fact that they have nothing to show for their company. Like, when you get to the point where, I mean, you know what I want to compare this to? It's like WWE happens to be, let's say for an example, you don't have to like him. You don't have to care for his catalog. You don't, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point. WWE is something like Penguin Zero, right? Moist Critical, Charlie. Whereas he can sit there and he has such a dedicated following for what he's been doing over the years. Very simplistic. He's relying on his personality in order to get over, right? And he did it. Dude, that's like, nearly 17 million views, if not 17 million views, something like that. But he can pull in 1 million views every single day, talking about the most mundane fucking topics for less than 10 minutes. Just like that. 1 million views. If Charlie wants to get it, he can fucking get it. He doesn't have to do anything. It's his personality that's going to carry him after nearly 20 years of engaging with his audience. Whereas you have someone like, for an example, the Jack Dohertys of the world, right? The Aiden Rosses of the world, the Neons of the world, people like that, right? Some of them who've already fallen off, the prank channels and stuff like that. You see people like Ice Poseidon, right? That Johnny Somali guy who's probably gonna get raped in the ass in Korea. Stuff like that, right? These guys crashing out, live streams, all this other kind of shenanigans and bullshit, antagonizing, annoying people, right? Physically getting in their faces and just being absolute dickheads, right? Now, think about it for a second. You got someone like Charlie, who just has to rely on his personality in order to get over. And here you have these idiots over here, right? Throw Fousey Tube in that also. That dude's a mental case. Throw all those dudes out there, and look what they have to do to maybe get 1/4 of the viewership that Charlie has to get in one day. It's gonna probably take them, with all their antics, especially nowadays because people are so sick and tired of their bullshit, it's probably going to have to take them, let's say, arguably maybe 2 to 3 weeks, right? And mind you, their videos are going viral. It's probably going to take them a minute to get what Charlie can get in one day, doing the most retarded, stupid, dumb, garbage shit possible. And it's not as if they didn't have all the momentum in the world. It's not as if earlier, and this is a comparison to AEW also, it's not as if earlier they didn't have the momentum. Now granted, it wasn't as easy as it was for, say, a Penguin Zero versus what they did in order to get those kind of views that Penguin gets nowadays, just like it wasn't as easy for AEW to be on the same level as WWE, to do what they did in order to get the same viewership number. But what I'm suggesting is they had the momentum to get to that spot. You know what I mean? You can see someone like, yeah, you can argue a Fusito for an example. Or let's use Sneeko for an example. I think he's another perfect example where I've seen some of Sneeko's earlier content. I thought it was still kind of cringe, but at the same time, it was, you know, him going on street corners and talking to women and doing the whole enlightenment, you know, manosphere bullshit and, you know, question everything kind of stuff. But it was, for the most part, engaging. And then he moved from the engaging content that was starting to build him up a logical audience, right? A nice audience where all he had to do was stuff like that in order to get millions of views. He felt like he wasn't getting it quick enough, or he was losing momentum, so he strayed away from all that stuff in order to do the crash out videos. Just like AEW, they had momentum. They had everything going for themselves. They had CM Punk. They had Cody Rhodes, two of the guys who are arguably the biggest portions of WrestleMania this year and arguably last year. You had it. And your answer to all of that was to stray away. You strayed away from all of that to delve more into what your core audience fan base gave you instantaneous responses to. Don't worry about the instantaneous response. Not to put myself directly in the middle of all of this, but I just want to give a comparison. I just really want to give a comparison to my own content. There's a reason why you don't see shorts on my videos. At least not all the time. I might put one out once in a while, because the last thing I want is for me to have 6,000 views and then I put out a short that ends up getting 200,000 views. It's I'm not going to say it's super easy, but it's pretty common for a channel to get around, at least average, 1 million views on a short. Something along the lines of that, at least one time. And when you do that, what that does is, because people treat shorts like they treat TikTok videos, and they'll subscribe in the same way as to how you would like a video, but it's just specifically that short. And the next thing you know it, you have an influx of subscribers, right? 3,000 views, and God forbid if you did a bunch of shorts, now you're going to get tens of thousands of subscribers who come in. And the problem with that is your subscribe number is going to get gigantic, you know, at least compared to where you were previously. The last thing I need is to have 6,000 subscribers and then somehow blow up to 30,000 subscribers, but it's because of that one short, just that one short. And now people are watching my videos, and my core audience fan base is still there, meaning I'm going to get the same viewership number that I got when I had 6,000 subs, but I have 30,000 subs, and it makes my channel look dead. It makes everything look insignificant. Not knowing it was just that short or multiple shorts that got me to that position to begin with. That's the problem. That's the AEW, WWE problem, metaphorically speaking, when you look at all this. They didn't have to do what they did if they had a good story. If Moxley and Edge has something competent to work with, if you psychologically, because that's something else that AEW fails at miserably, you have to subconsciously tell your fans that what you're presenting is a big deal. When you're constantly, weeks in and weeks out, A, not given enough time to Edge and Moxley, B, not main eventing it at all, because again, you're so bad at your creative, it almost seems like you don't want to put the world championship in the main event, because you feel by that point in time people would have turned off the TV in massive numbers, and you don't want to bury your world champion like that, or the world championship. But you don't understand though, you are burying your world champion. You're doing so because you keep constantly taking away the prestige of the title as far as what it's meant to do. The whole point of the world championship is that this is the end all be all, the creme de la creme, right? This is what everybody in your company wants to go after. This is the main priority. That's the belt, that right there. And the reason theoretically that they want to go after that and have that is because they want to be the number one guy. With being the number one guy, typically that means you're the headliner. You're the main event. You're the final boss. All that stuff is entangled with winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And when you do the complete opposite of what the World Championship typically intends in regards to a goal, well then what you're essentially saying is that your World Heavyweight Championship isn't prioritized. What you're essentially saying is your World Heavyweight Championship isn't as big as the other championship belts on the card. What you're essentially saying is, what's the point of winning the World Championship when I can win any of these mid-card belts and pretty much, as far as percentage-wise, get about as much of a percentage as far as main event in the show, or doing something that's typically exclusive with the World Championship. I can do all that stuff with any of these belts right here. That includes the Women's Championship belts. You don't see how asinine that sounds? Because what it does eventually is that, again, subconsciously, outside of your sickos, hey, it is what it is. I'm just giving you the real. Subconsciously, what it does is it tells people that that World Heavyweight Championship means absolutely nothing. Now, take that and combine it with the lack of story that you have given to these guys. The Dick Riders are already dead on arrival. They are terrible. They have not done anything significant on your show. They are terrible. It is a bad stable. With still not even, it's been almost 6 months now, maybe even longer. I've yet to hear anything fleshed out in regards to a legitimate goal. You saying I want to get rid of the people who don't care for AEW does not mean jack shit to me unless I have an understanding as to why. What set you off? What happened? We haven't even gotten that yet. Yet you're going through each feud with people trying to create this brand warfare thing going up, and no one's into it. No one at all. You're drawing inspirations from movies where movies are giving you a plot, and they're typically taking you from A, B, C, Moxley. But your creative direction, there is no A, B, and C. We haven't even fully fleshed out A yet. And now you're feuding with Edge, and you have nothing coming from that story to give to Edge to work with, where he could do something unique at the very least to put into this whole rivalry that you're doing that can be relevant to him. So the whole story is dead on arrival because the participants in themselves are dead on arrival. We're talking about even Edge. Edge just came back from a leg injury. This is his first feud since his leg injury back in May of last year. His first one. And you bring him back into all of this. And then you spent, at this point, damn near months always mid-carding them. Always mid-carding. You understand that their final bout for the World Heavyweight Championship, they main event the first one on the pay-per-view because that's how Tony Khan thinks, because he's such a fucking mark, that the World Heavyweight Championship in itself will be enough to carry it as to why my reasoning in regards to having it as the main event. But you're not going to do it for the rest of the fucking shows that are building up to the main event of that pay-per-view, which makes it look out of sync when there are other rivalries that aren't good in its own right, but they feel bigger than what Edge and Mox are doing. And then you end it. You end a world championship feud. Think about that. In the middle of a card. Never mind the match in itself. Put that to the side. You end it in the middle of the card on a random episode of Dynamite. Like, just logically, how does that sit well with you, bro? How does that sit well with you? And no one thinks about this, bruh. No one. And then they'll sit back and they'll call you all kinds of names and stuff like that. But then give it about 2 or 3 years, because if AEW keeps giving you the same bullshit over and over again, and you yourself aren't really feeling like that none of this stuff is relevant towards you, then subconsciously you're going to fall off the wagon from AEW, because there's nothing that's keeping you tangled up with the company. That's what happens. It's like playing a video game. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you like it, but there's only so much you can do when all they give you is exhibition mode. Because eventually it's going to get super fucking boring. There's no story mode. There's no create, just exhibition. Choose a character and do whatever you want to do. Eventually that's going to get boring. That's why sandbox modes exist. Imagine if playing GTA 5 was just the story mode, and by the end of the story mode, you're not allowed to replay the game. You're going to return it. You're going to return it. All I'm saying is, look at what they did with Edge and Moxley as a cautionary tale as to what not to do in professional wrestling. Everything they did in this feud was not just terrible, but the thing is, people are going to try to tell you that you're making a false comparison by saying anything in regards to WWE. Right now it's Cena's heel turn. You can't compare the two. The hell I can. The hell I can. You just don't want me to make the comparison, because that means I have to take apart AEW at the same time. At the same time, I have to point out the faults of AEW in order to illustrate that point. And you don't like that. You don't like the truth. You see, people call you guys sickos because of your entertainment and the things that we see on television, that you see on television, that you pop for. No, I can't speak for anybody else, but I like the term sickos. Not because of that. No, that might be one of the reasons, but not just because of that. I call you sickos because you have a mental illness. A mental illness, not just within professional wrestling, but a mental illness in the sense that you're so extremely fucking delusional in regards to what you see directly in front of your face, that you have to lie to yourself. You know the truth, but you have to lie to yourself. And if anyone doesn't believe the lie that you had to create for yourself in order to put up a facade, then you get angry at them, and you lash out at them, and you project at them, and you double standard, and you have hypocrisy by all the stuff. Everything is a straight up projection. But the mental illness comes from the fact that you're projecting after telling yourself, "No, this is a good thing. This is a good thing." The mental illness is that you project to everybody, including yourself. How do you do that? Only a mentally ill person can do something like that. That's why you're a sicko. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to how you feel about the commentary. Don't think I'm saying anything out of line. It's just crazy. It's crazy that the elements that are so fundamental to professional wrestling, the thing that you should be doing that can easily get everybody over, you stray away from and say that you're different without recognizing there's a reason why the foundation exists for a reason. You can build upon the foundation, but you can't break the foundation, because once you break the foundation, then what's standing in the spot? Then what are you upgrading then? As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P, Ice.